Wait. What? Where am I? Coffee.
So, my friends, this is an absolute exciting little lens that we got on here. This, in this beautiful pellet case, was the Laowa 9mm T2.9. You're looking at it right now. Now, why am I whispering? I don't know why I'm whispering, but let's get back into our normal video location and talk about this bad boy right here. Let's go. So far, I believe the closest competitor to the Laowa 9mm lens is the 7 Artisan 7.5mm lens, but that is a wide-angle fisheye lens. Now, this is not a fisheye lens. This is actually 0D, or pretty much close to zero distortion. That blows my mind how wide this thing is. Now, you have no idea how difficult it is to create a wide lens like this on the APS-C cameras. Now, yes, distortion can be fixed in post when it comes to photography with wide-angle lenses, but this becomes much more difficult when it comes to video in certain circumstances, and some, it's just not actually possible. Now let's have a look at some of the specs of this lens, and then we're actually going to be having a look at some of the footage and images I was able to capture with this tiny little beast. Let's get it. The Laowa 9mm T2.9 is a tiny, lightweight cine lens that can be matched perfectly with APS-C sized mirrorless cameras and suitable for gimbals. It features the standard 0.8 gear pitch on the aperture and focus ring for accurate focus pulling. Now it has 15 elements in 10 groups, 7 aperture blades that actually opens up to a T2.9 for accurate calculations of light hitting the sensor. It also has a front filter thread of 55mm. All this in a total weight of 247 grams. So let's have a look at the image quality of this lens right here. Starting off at T2.9 going into the center, it's nice and sharp with good contrast, moving out to the corners, and it's a little bit soft with less contrast, stopping it down to T4 into the center. Same, nice and sharp, good contrast out to the corners, and it's a little bit sharper, stopping it down to T5.6, and when it gets a bit sharper in the corners, and it's reached its peak sharpness at T8 in the corners, still not as much contrast. So now we stop it down to the minimum aperture of T22 in the center. You can see it's losing a little bit of sharpness and contrast through the diffraction, and it's actually quite sharp in the corners, but still not as contrast. But overall, pretty decent performance from this lens. So I'd just quickly like to jump in here. If you give this video a thumbs up, that would mean the world to me. It helps push this video to other content creators out there, and hopefully this may actually help someone in their filmmaking and photography journey. Back into the video. So jumping into the old brick wall test, just so we can see some distortion, and you can see here there is pretty much no distortion, but when you go close onto the image test, there is a little bit of barrel distortion there. You can definitely tell it's only minor, but when you are actually shooting further back, you won't actually notice it too much. If you are doing tall buildings, you'll probably notice that the buildings will be nice and tall and straight on the edges. There's just that little bit of barrel distortion. All right, well, let's have a look at some of the footage. The A6400 looks trash in 1080 at 50 frames. Let's switch to something a little bit different. The FX6. Let's go. So, who exactly is this lens designed for? Well, there's one determining factor who they actually designed this for, and that is pretty much where it says T. That is the T-stop value on this lens. Now, they have already tested this for the light that's transmitted into the sensor, predominantly for filmmakers. Now, filmmakers generally go by their lenses by T-stops because that is the transmitted value of the light that goes into the sensor. The f-stop is pretty much the projected light at the start of the lens, and obviously it loses a little bit of light through the whole lens elements and diffractions and all that sort of stuff. And then when it hits the sensor, that's when it comes the T value. So you can pretty much say it's designed for video shooters first, but you still can use this for photography.
You can even use this for real estate videos.
Now, being a complete manual focus lens, it does pose a few difficulties when it comes to manual focusing, but I absolutely love manual focus lenses. This gives you ultimate choice of exactly where your plane of focus is, and the manual focus ring is very nice. It's nice and smooth. It's really good, and I just really love the teeth on this thing right here as well. You can see it's really well designed, and this will pair really well with follow focus systems. Overall, this lens has phenomenal sharpness and contrast. It is a really good lens for this price range with this kind of focal length. Yeah, it does pose a few little weaknesses when it comes to the image quality and flaring. It's not great. It does ghost a little bit with the bright lights directly into the lens, but this lens does come highly recommended from me, and I absolutely love it. If you are a landscape photographer, if you are a landscape videographer, if you're a filmmaker, if you actually do real estate videography and photography, this lens is most definitely for you. And obviously, if you do love that stylistic, wide angle, zero distortion, you need to pick up one of these lenses. But I am at no means affiliated with Laowa at all. They've sent me this copy, yes, but I am not obligated to say anything positive or negative about this. This is completely my own independent review and my own opinions as well.